Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to this beginner traveler Q&A. I don't think I've ever done one of these, which is actually kind of crazy because I know that a lot of people who come across my page and my content have never traveled outside of the US, and y'all have a lot of questions. I've done Q&As before, but I've never really done a like a live that's like specifically for beginner travelers. So here we are. Welcome everybody. Good morning. Please make sure y'all are tapping that screen. I really appreciate y'all showing some love. If y'all know anybody who is interested in traveling more in 2026, please make sure that you share this video with them. If you got somebody you're trying to travel with in 2026, then send this video to them as well for, a little bit of accountability. And because they might have some questions too. You know how it is whenever you've been doing something for so long and you forget that whatever it is that you're doing, it might be overwhelming for somebody else. So I am really trying to start putting myself more in the mindset of the person who would like to go to these different countries and they see these people doing it on social media, but they're like, what am I actually supposed to do? How do I actually make this happen? So that's why I decided to do a live Q&A. So like I said, anybody in here who has any questions about travel, especially those of you who have never traveled outside of the US, for those of you who are brand spanking new to international travel, make sure y'all drop your questions below in the comments. Thank y'all so much for tapping that screen. I really appreciate y'all showing some love. Remember, IG is for lurkers and TikTok is for lovers. So please make sure y'all are tapping that screen. I appreciate y'all. So we are, we're keeping it chill today, but I have some FAQs pulled up, and I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at these travel FAQs. Hello, Sandy. Good morning. I was looking at these travel FAQs, and I was like, wow, these are really good questions. And I don't really talk about these that much. So I feel like this is actually some really good content for me. You know what I think I'm gonna do, y'all? I think I'm gonna clip this video. That's what I think I'm about to do. I think I'm gonna use this live. I'm gonna go through these questions. I'm gonna answer whatever questions y'all have, but I'm going to go through these questions, and then I think I'm gonna clip this live up so that I can have some content for beginner travelers specifically. And for those of you who are new here, you've never met me, welcome. Let me know if you're new. Put a number 1 in the comments if it's your first time joining any of my lives. Put a number 2 if it is not your first time joining any of my lives. If you came back because you rocks with your girl, if you already have a country that you know you would like to travel to, drop it in the comments. Where would you go in 2026? If there were any country in the world that you could go to, let's say you could travel there in the next 2 weeks and you're not pressed about like the money, or you're not pressed about, like time off, like where would you go? Let me know in the comments. Amber is coming in hot. She says, what travel insurance do you recommend? I've used Faye, just wanted your opinion. So I have not used travel insurance since 2019. If I'm being very, very honest, hold on. That's not true. I haven't purchased travel insurance since 2019. So the Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card actually comes with travel insurance. So that's what I was using for a really long time. So and credit cards are not for everybody. I get that. If you are someone who likes having a travel credit card, I recommend getting a travel credit card that has insurance, because that way you don't have to do anything separate. It's just all in one. But Faye is a great option. Dan, you're making me realize that. I know there's like digital nomad insurance, but I'm trying to think of specific travel insurance because, like I said, I really haven't used it. So, damn, I'm literally over here like, I don't even have an answer to your question. I should look into that. Because I haven't used any travel insurance. I literally have just used what came with my card. I have it with Amex, never tried it though. Yeah, so if you have it with Amex, you probably don't need to be buying any additional insurance. You can just go with that. And the one I used in 2019, I would have to dig. I'm gonna have to dig in my inbox. But thank you for asking me that, because that shows me, because again, this is a great example of literally what I just said, right? Like, it's been such a long time since I have thought about these things. So it's good that other people are asking me this question. So I appreciate it. Thank y'all so much for tapping that screen. Get a card that has travel insurance and miles. Well, I figure it goes without saying that a travel credit card is going to give you mileage, because that's the point of a travel credit card. But yes, touche. All right, what else y'all got? Drop any other travel questions that y'all have in the comments. By the way, for anybody who is like for real about traveling this year, I do also have a resource called the First Time Traveler Toolkit. So a lot of these questions are going to be answered in the toolkit. You can grab that. If you're watching on TikTok, you can grab it in the link in my bio. If you're watching on YouTube, you can grab it in the description. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to drop them below. My brother moved to Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm thinking of following him. Period, Todd. I love Thailand. I love Chiang Mai. So I mean, I fully support it. Okay, I need to go back to Thailand yesterday. Thailand is one of those places where as soon as I leave, I'm like, I need to go back, like right now. So I love Thailand. I'm here for it. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. Please do not forget to be tapping that screen, whether y'all are going to be hanging out with me for a minute or whether you are just popping in for a quick second. Please make sure y'all are double tapping because it is free 99 for y'all to tap that screen. And it really means a lot to us creators who show up and talk to a box. So please make sure y'all are double tapping. I really appreciate it. Like I said, if y'all know anybody else who's interested in travel, feel free to share the live with them. Nobody dropped any countries. So y'all not trying to go nowhere? Because I mean, we're literally in here to talk about traveling internationally. So I want to know, like, where are y'all about to, where are you about to travel to? Where would you like to travel to? What's on your travel bucket list? What's one of your favorite countries? Let me know what trips y'all have coming up or what trips y'all are manifesting. Can't figure out how I'm going to be able to wash my dishes in cold water. I don't really understand your question. Why would you wash your dishes in cold water? Why are you even washing dishes? Why are you washing dishes while traveling? And that's my first question. My second question is, why are you washing them in cold water? Yes, Mexico. Which part of Mexico? That's my favorite country. Hopefully Turkey later this year and Guatemala. I would love to go to both of those countries. Azores, Portugal, and Spain. What's Azores? I don't think I've heard of that. Choco says, how was Amsterdam? I want to visit Anne Frank's house. I haven't been to Anne Frank's house, but I loved Amsterdam. I was there for 4 days back in 2023 and I absolutely loved it. It is such a cute little city, so walkable, very safe. I'm not a fan of Dutch food, but you can get a lot of food there that's not Dutch. I did do a food tour that was cool, but I had some really great really great experiences there. I actually have an Amsterdam travel guide. So let me know if you're interested because I can share that with you because I don't keep it in my bio. Oh, islands off of Portugal. Okay, I had no idea. Thank y'all so much for the hearts, but it stinks. But what stinks? Have you been to Chile? Yes, I have. I went to Chile in 2019. I was in Santiago. Haley says, oh, another person is mentioning Azores. Look, y'all see, y'all be teaching me new stuff. Thank y'all for the hearts. I'm planning on moving to Azores in a couple of years when I get my citizenship. Let's go. They're super affordable and more beautiful than Hawaii. That sounds incredible. I mean, Portugal's on my travel list anyway. So I am here for it. I hear really, really great things about Portugal and I'm always down for an island. Okay. Always down for an island. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. I appreciate y'all so much. As y'all have more questions, just keep on popping them in. I'm going to, like I said, I'm just going to be going through, like the most frequently asked travel questions, but you can feel free to ask whatever specific questions you have. So for starters, do you need a passport to travel internationally? The answer is yes and no. Okay. So for starters, no, that's not what I want to say. Okay. So for starters, in general, you need a passport. Okay. You need to get your passport. You need to have your passport. You need to have it yesterday. So if you do not have a passport yet, I need you to go ahead and do that. Okay. Go ahead and get your passport. Go ahead and apply for that. Travel.state.gov is where you can go and apply for your passport. You will need to make sure that you have a photo. You need to get your photo taken. Or if you have one, I took a selfie for my last when I updated my passport photo. But if it's your first one, listen, I would play by the rules a little bit more. But yeah, you're gonna need to get a photo, set an appointment, but absolutely get your passport. Now, are there countries that you can travel to without a passport? Yes. Countries like Guam or Puerto Rico or the Bahamas, right? Like these are U.S. territories, but you can travel to these places without a passport. So if you're looking to travel in the next month and you don't have a passport, absolutely go for that. But in general, to travel internationally, yes, you need a passport and you want to have a passport anyway, because listen, just stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Okay. What places would you recommend besides South Africa in Africa? The only country I've been to in Africa so far is Egypt. I would recommend Egypt. I don't recommend it alone, but I do recommend Egypt because the monuments there are absolutely stunning and incredible. You need a passport to go to the Bahamas. No, you don't. My friend went there without a passport. Unless they just changed it. Maybe they changed it more recently, but my friend went to the Bahamas without a passport. Oh, wait a minute. You might be right. You might be right. Because I think she did a cruise. You are right. Thank you for correcting me, Matthew. She did go to the Bahamas without a passport, but it was because it was a cruise. You are right. Scratch that Bahamas comment. U.S. Virgin Islands. Actually have a video I did a long time ago on places that you can travel without a passport. Listen, I don't talk about this that much because I'm a firm believer in get your passport. I don't really care where you can travel without a passport because my priority is for you to get a passport. But there are certain places you can go. Bahamas is not on that list, but I know that you can go to Puerto Rico. I know you can go to Guam. I know you can go to like the U.S. Virgin Islands. Like there are some places that you can go. But thank you for catching that. Okay, sorry. Back to the Africa question. Yeah, so the only place I've been to is Egypt, which I would recommend. Recommendations based on people that I have talked to, or people who I know. So Kenya is a really popular one. Tanzania is another popular one. Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Morocco. What's that one in the south? Namibia? Is it Namibia? I've heard. I think it is Namibia that I've heard was really cool. I'm missing one. I mean, there's a lot more. There's a lot more than what I'm naming, but I'm talking about places that are popular to travel, right? And that's a whole other conversation, right? There's a difference in going to the places that are popular versus going to, the roads less traveled, which I am a full supporter in traveling to the places that everybody and a baby mama are not talking about on social media. However, because this is specifically about travel newbies, I personally would recommend you going somewhere that is more popular because if you are new to travel, then you want to go somewhere where you can easily find research on a place, right? Again, I'm not telling you not to go to Estonia in Europe. I'm just telling you that you're going to find a lot more Portugal content. You're going to find a lot more France content or Spain or Croatia. You're going to find a lot more content in terms of doing research online than you will for somewhere like Estonia or Bulgaria or Romania. Again, does not mean these places are bad, but because we're talking about beginner travelers, those are the ones that I would recommend. So like for Africa, if you are a beginner traveler, I probably only recommend South Africa. I mean, no, I would say maybe Ghana too, but Africa is not an easy continent to travel to and to travel throughout for obvious reasons. It's the continent that has been shat on the most over the years. I mean, obviously, like it's getting a lot better. And I mean, I would love to travel to all over that continent, and I will at some point in the future. But yeah, like I said, if you're a beginner traveler, then I would probably stick to somewhere like South Africa or maybe Ghana or Kenya. And like I said, outside of South Africa, I probably would be a little bit more well-traveled. That's me personally. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. I was sick the entire time I was in Amsterdam, but perhaps it was due to my pregnancy. I mean, yeah, I have never heard of that from anybody else, Nubian Queen. So I would maybe say that as well. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll back down. Oh no, Kenya. Costa Rica is one of those beautiful countries and people are very friendly. Food is very cheap. I love Costa Rica. Costa Rica is actually one of my top 5 favorite countries. I especially love the Caribbean side. I don't think Costa Rica is that cheap. I actually feel like the prices are pretty similar to the US, but at the end of the day, I was on the Caribbean side and I was in San Jose. There's a lot of different places in Costa Rica. And like everywhere else, I'm sure it depends on where you go. Dylan, you said Bahamas. I don't know if there was a question there. Museums are very nice, especially the Diamond Museum. Amazing, Nubian Queen. I didn't go to any museums in Amsterdam. And it's not because I don't like museums, because I do like museums, but Amsterdam, like with the museums, we didn't realize that we were going to need to book a lot of that stuff in advance. And so it was actually like a girls trip that I did. And it was kind of short notice. And we wanted to stay as flexible as possible. Like we didn't want a trip where like something like, because I remember we went to one of those museums. It might have been the Heineken Museum. It was either Heineken or Anne Frank. We went to one of those museums and the line was so long. And then they were like, you should have gotten tickets online, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not telling you not to do these things. I'm just saying that I didn't go to any museums there, and if you are going to go, I would definitely look in advance to see if you need tickets beforehand, if it's something you know that you want to do. In today's political climate, you should definitely have a passport if you were going to travel. Yeah, I mean, that's just another reason to have a passport. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I'm still scrolling. Okay, I see Japan. Oh, Luke, you're trolling me. I get it now. I get it now. Okay, cool. Well, welcome, Luke. If you're gonna troll me, can you at least tap the screen? Like, y'all can come in here and talk shit. Y'all can troll me. I don't really care because at the end of the day, if the highlight of your day is getting on somebody else's live and being like annoying, then whatever. You know what? Why? Then sure, I'll contribute to that. Just do me a favor and tap the screen while you're trolling me. Thank you in advance. Dylan said Japan. I don't know if you have a question about Japan or if you were just saying that as a place you want to visit. Let me know. I would love to go to Nigeria where my ancestors are from, but I heard it's unsafe. I mean, the US is unsafe. So do what you will with that information. I really try to stay away from the whole safety thing. What I will say is if you are a new traveler, I do recommend, unless you are someone who is just, you got that kind of spirit, I do recommend going to a country that is known for being safe if that's something that you are more comfortable with. Okay, people say like, oh, Brazil is dangerous, people say Colombia is dangerous, people like, I've been to countries that people say are dangerous, so I will tell you right now, I'm not the person to ask if you should go to one of those countries because I'm team go. Okay. However, if you're a new traveler, I completely understand if you want to go to a country that, on paper, they have a lot less crime than some other countries. That's perfectly fine. I will just say we all can humble ourselves and acknowledge that the United States is on the travel advisory list. Okay. The United States is not considered a safe country to travel to. So yes, do your research. You can absolutely, go to a place where a place that's considered, safe on paper, right? According to the data or whatever, but do your research. You are more spontaneous, girl. No, I'm not. I am not. In fact, I am a planner. But the thing about that trip to Amsterdam is one of the girls that went with us, she's also a planner. and so I went with two girls who lived in Germany, and one of them had already been to Amsterdam. So she kind of wanted to not like host us, but she took the lead on planning the trip. So, which was amazing for me because listen, I plan enough trips. I'm happy to show up on a trip where somebody else has the itinerary. But after traveling so much, I 100% support having somewhat of an itinerary, but also leaving some things relatively flexible because you don't want to get to a point where thank y'all for the hearts. You don't want to get to a point where you just have so much stuff planned and you don't have flexibility in your schedule. And part of that can be because you might be tired. Okay. Travel is exhausting. Some people be trying to make it seem like, oh my God, travel is so great and nothing ever goes wrong. And it's just all beautiful. It is exhausting. Okay. Like it can be exhausting to be doing things back to back to back. Like, yeah, those 3 tours sound good, but 3 tours in one day, 3 tours in even 2 days can feel like a lot. So that's just something to be mindful of. Know yourself, right? That's one of the controversial things in the travel industry. You have the people who are like, I didn't come all the way here to sleep. I can sleep when I'm dead. I can sleep when I'm back home. We filling up the itinerary. We call those itinerary warriors. Okay. And then you have the people who are more like, no, I'm incorporating rest into the schedule. That is me. I have done the itinerary warrior thing and I'm like, I am not about that life. I am not. Now, full transparency, most of the time I'm a slow traveler. So it is very different if you're going to a place for a week or weeks or months at a time versus if you're only going for 4 days. But what I will tell you is that you'll never do it all. Okay. You will never do it all. Okay. It is every country I've been to. I just left Colombia and I was there for almost 5 months. There's still so much that I wanted to do that I didn't do. And keep in mind, that's literally my 3rd time. That was my 3rd time being in Colombia. You will never do it all. Your goal is not to do it all. Your goal is to be fully present and enjoy the things that you choose to do. So if you take a 4-day trip and you only decide to book 2 things, that might be perfect for you. This is why I'm also telling you to do your research in advance, because if you do your research, if you look at the popular things to do or even some of the non-popular things to do, you will know what calls to you. And when you know what calls to you, like let's say, for example, I say that I want to go to, let's say I want to go to Cabo, Mexico, right? and I look up best things to do in Cabo. Like if I see whale watching, I'm going. Okay. That's it. I don't care if I don't do nothing else on the trip. If whale watching is an option for the place that I'm traveling to, I'm going. Okay. That's me. That might not be you. There might be another option for like a food tour, right? Like I personally believe food tours 10 out of 10. Okay. You should, I mean, listen, I love to eat. I love trying different cuisines. These shits are blurry as hell. I'm gonna just take them off. I love trying different cuisines. So a food tour for me, that would probably be another one that's like pretty high on my list, but it's not a non-negotiable, right? If there's a beach, if there's an option to get on a boat, I want to get on a boat. You might be the kind of person where maybe you really want to visit a certain museum. Maybe you really like architecture. So you want to do a walking tour, right? I'm already thinking I need to redo this. I'm not going to redo it, but like I'm going to do this live again because I'm literally coming up with things that I want to even like give advice for first time travelers. And I'm updating my first time traveler toolkit. So I'm going to take some notes over here because I do want to make a note about walking tours. Romeo, what are you doing? What are you doing? You want me to let you out? I can let you out, but you're not coming back in. You're not gonna go to the door and whine. Okay. All right. Well, let's stay here then. Yes, I did just have a conversation with my dog. Mind your business. Hello, Chris. I lived in Germany for 5 years, which afforded to easy travel. Yeah, I mean, Europe is a continent that is pretty easy to travel through. I mean, are you surprised? Like that's where the colonizers are. Okay, like Europe is the most advanced continent for a reason. And listen, I am not one of those people just throwing anybody shade for traveling to Europe. I've traveled to Europe. There are plenty more places in Europe I want to travel to. I'm just saying, like the more you travel, the more you learn about history, and the more you be like, oh, A plus B do equal C. Okay, cool, got it. Okay, and welcome y'all who are just now joining. If y'all have any questions, y'all don't be shy. There is no stupid question. Feel free to drop me any questions y'all have below in the comments. Okay, I only got through one of these frequently asked questions. Do I need a visa for my destination? The answer is maybe. I don't know because I don't know where you're going. But if you go to travel.state.gov, you can actually look up whatever country that you're going to, and you can figure out what the visa requirements are. So I've been to 24 different countries. There was only one country that I traveled to where I actually had to apply for a visa in advance, and that was Vietnam. Every other country that I've been to, if there was a visa requirement, I was able to just get like a tourist visa, just like at the airport. And a tourist visa is literally just like a regular visa. Like I don't even know how do I describe a tourist visa? A tourist visa is it's just like your passport stamp, right? Like a tourist visa is you're coming here as a tourist to visit, and you are allotted a certain amount of time in the country, right? So if you travel to Mexico this is all from the perspective of a US citizen. Let me put that out there. I will never be able to speak from the perspective of somebody outside of the US because I'm a US citizen. But yeah, like for example, if I go to Mexico, I can stay there for 6 months. If I go to Vietnam, I can stay there for 30 days. So it just like every country will have its own visa process. Most countries, as a US citizen, you don't have to do anything wild for just like a trip for a tourist visa, but you always want to double check. Thank y'all for the hearts. I just can't get past affording traveling with a family of 4. New following. Thanks for the helpful info. You are so welcome, Melody. What do you mean you can't get past affording traveling with a family of 4? So have you traveled on your own before, or have you traveled with your family before? Tell me a little bit more, Melody. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. How far in advance should I book my flight? I don't like this question because as like a budget travel girly, I am like a firm believer and you can get amazing flight deals. You can get amazing flight deals at any time. But what I will say is if you know for sure where you want to go, the question is not necessarily how far in advance do you need to book your flight. The question is how far in advance do you know where you're going? Because I tell people, especially if you are open and you are really traveling on a budget, be flexible with your destination, because if you're flexible with your destination, you can allow Google to show you where to travel. And if you allow Google to show you where to travel, then you're going to see the best dates to travel, the best date to book your flight. And I show y'all how to do this in my first time traveler toolkit, which is at the link in my bio. But excuse me. Um, I would just say like a rule of thumb for booking an international flight. I mean, it's so hard. Like every time I want to say an answer, my brain is like, that's not true. Because I literally booked a flight from Panama to Colombia the day before and it was like $150. So that whole art, I mean, it comes down to supply and demand. But for the sake of a beginner traveler, I would say 6 to 8 weeks in advance is a good spot for you to be in for booking your flight in advance. Rooted in Travels has family of four here. Just went to Thailand with 3 kids and going to Mexico with kids in March. Beautiful. And how did you like Thailand? What part did you go to? I love Thailand and I love Mexico. Those are both in my top 5. Question number 4. Is travel insurance really necessary? Is it necessary? No. Should you get it? Probably. Y'all, again, like I have to, whenever I'm answering some of these questions, I have to be like, okay, Bianca, there is an answer that you would tell a seasoned traveler. There's an answer that you would tell a beginner traveler. So there was a question that somebody had asked me. Oh my God, what was it? I cannot remember what it was, but it was completely it was applicable to this. I cannot remember what it was. It was beautiful, and I have your guide that helped me in my planning stage. Oh, amazing! Wait, which guide? You have you had like my Thailand guide? I'm just curious, but either way, I'm so happy to hear that. Damn, I'm so mad. What was it that somebody was asking me about? That's what I remember. So I remember somebody asking me about if they should do trip insurance. Like, so if they should do like um flight insurance, right? Like if my flight gets canceled or like whatever. That was the question. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, if I'm taking a trip in like a week and I'm like, you know what, I'm going, I might do like the no change thing. For me, I like to, even if my flight is not refundable, I at least like to be able to make a change. So here's what I tell you about travel insurance. Okay. Are you the type of person that would be comfortable in the US without health insurance? Okay. Like, are you know what I mean? Like, I don't like using the word should because I feel like it kind of makes me a hypocrite because I have traveled without travel insurance like multiple times. But the Move Abroad guide, I think how to make money while abroad. Okay, period. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for your business rooted in travel. But yeah, so I guess I'm glad I'm doing this now because I need to like talk this shit out. And then when I do it a second time, I'm gonna be a lot better prepared with my answers. um so, I mean, the rule of thumb is yes, get travel insurance. I'll just leave it at that. What document should I carry with me? Your passport? Kind of depends on who you ask. I mean, your passport is really going to be the main document that's going to be the main document that you're going to need. Depending on where you are, I know this is crazy, but some airports do not allow digital boarding passes. Like some airports, you still have to have them printed out. So typically they'll tell you, like if you check in for your flight and it literally is like download your boarding pass here, it's probably fine. But also you can get your boarding pass printed whenever you check in at the airport. So but after you're at the airport, yeah, you can have your boarding pass. Your accommodation address. I'm reading over some of this stuff, and I'm like, Bianca, a lot of this is stuff that I don't even do. I'm not proud, but y'all can be better than me, okay? So your accommodation address, wherever you are staying, just in case something happens, it doesn't hurt to have that written down and to have that on you. And I would say, like I said, that's pretty much it. If you happen to be going to a place where certain vaccinations are required, then that's something that you may need. But in general, whenever you travel, your most important document is going to be your passport. Should I exchange money before I go? So, you can. I have done this. However, now I have the Charles Schwab debit card and all of my ATM fees are rebated. So I don't ever get money before I leave anymore. If you're only going to get a small amount, then I would because, it's convenient and it's something that you don't have to think about, especially if you think you'll need it within like the first day, because sometimes when you land the first day can get kind of hectic. So you can go to your bank. I would try to do this no more than a week ahead of your trip. You can absolutely go to your bank, let them know what country you're going to, let them know how much money. And when I say a little bit, I mean maybe like $100 or less. But if you have an international debit card, like I said, like I have the Charles Schwab one, which I really love. If you have an international debit card, then like I said, you can get I feel like this live is like really delayed. I feel like sorry. If you have the debit card, then you can get money for free anyway. So it's up to you. Like I said, if you do not have an international debit card, then I would get some before, maybe up to like 100, $200. But if you're planning on getting out like 1,000 or something like that, which I probably wouldn't do. I mean, I wouldn't walk around with like $1,000 cash on me personally. Then I would just wait until I get there. But if you do not have an international debit card, be mindful because those ATM fees can add up quickly. And at the end of the day, that is something that you can calculate into your budget, right? Let's say you're taking like a 7-day trip and you're planning on spending $1,000 in the local currency while you're there. I don't recommend getting out the $1,000 all at once. There are some people who, they might say like, oh, get out the money and then put some of it in your safe. Like, it's a controversial topic. And it also depends on where you're going, right? Like, I'm not going to walk around with $1,000 in cash while I'm in Colombia. I love Colombia, but I'm not going to do it. I mean, if you're in Iceland, you're not concerned that somebody might pickpocket you or rob you or anything like that. But I would say rule of thumb, if you're getting like $200 or less, get it at your bank. But what I would really say is, listen, you about to be a global girly, okay? Like, get you international debit card. What is the process of obtaining the Charles Schwab card? And y'all, Charles Schwab is a regular ass bank. Native Southerner, you can either go online or you can go to I don't know if they have branches where you are. They do have them here where I am in North Carolina, but go to a branch and just open a checking account. That's it. It's a regular ass debit card. Hold on. No, I missed the comment. Melody said, my finances, I just look at total cost and just say, oh, forget it. We will just do a staycation. And I am so over staycations and need to deep dive into your content for help. Okay, no, that's completely fair. Thank you for sharing more insight. Okay, so for starters, I don't know exactly, like what your budget is, but what I would say is you probably want to really lean into those budget travel hacks that are going to mean being as flexible as possible. So what I mean by that, Melody, is Google is going to be your friend. Okay. So, and I've done a lot of videos on this actually, and I have this in the First Time Traveler Toolkit, by the way, for anybody who wants like a deeper dive into how I use Google to find the best flights. The First Time Traveler Toolkit is at the link in my bio. You really want to lead into like those top tips. So for example, I would allow Google to choose my date and my destination. So Google Flight has a feature called Explore, and you can basically go and look at a map of the US and you can see which are the least expensive countries for you to fly to. So just by going into Google and allowing it to choose your destination, you're already going to be starting off on a good budget, because girl, you might literally see that there might be a flight for like $200 for you to go to Mexico or Costa Rica or Guatemala. I saw a $97 flight from New York to London the other day. Okay. It was just one way though. Which for me is fine because I pretty much only book one-way flights these days. But you really want to lean into being as flexible as possible. That's how you're going to get the least expensive trip, by allowing the flight prices to tell you where to travel and when to travel. And you can do all of this with Google. I have some videos about this on my page as well. If you look under the playlist, I think it's called like tips and hacks or something like that. But like I said, you can also get the First Time Traveler Toolkit, which is at the link in my bio. But that's how you want to start off, okay, in terms of your flight. Oh, great. That's actually a great point, Native Southerner. Let's talk about hotels. I don't think we have them here in Alabama. I will go online. Okay, cool. Let me know if you're able to do it online, because I'd be curious. What about hotel stays? I have a video on my page where I actually did how to find the best hotel stay as well. You can also use Google Travel for that. I also like to use Momondo, because you can look ahead of time and you can see what are the least expensive days to stay there. They actually have a color coded like red, yellow, green. So let's say you got Google up and you got Momondo up. Like, I would literally be comparing to see what days overlap in terms of the lowest cost for hotels and the lowest cost for oh my God, what's it called? The lowest cost for hotels, and then the lowest cost for your flight. That's what I would do, Melody. Like, I would really be leaning into these budget travel hacks that are going to cut down on your most expensive Romeo, what the hell? Do you want to get out? My dog want to get out. Hold on, y'all. There you go. Okay. He ain't bringing his ass back in here either. Okay, anyways. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, leading into those budget travel hacks to get the top two expenses down, because typically your flight and your accommodations are going to be the most expensive thing. So I would prioritize getting those down. Another thing I would prioritize is going to a country where the USD is worth more than whatever the local currency is, right? Like I wouldn't be trying to go to Dubai. I wouldn't be trying to go to, Abu Dhabi. I would go somewhere like Mexico or El Salvador or Vietnam, or Asia might be a stretch. If you're on a budget, I would probably stay on this side of the world. So that's another thing. If you are going if you are wanting to keep your flights as inexpensive as possible, then I would probably stay on this side of the world, because it's going to be more expensive if you try to go to like Africa or Asia, Australia. But I mean, there are some especially if you're somewhere like, if you can fly from like New York, New Jersey, LA, you can get some really great flights to Europe for like anywhere from like $300 to $500. But you can get to Latin America or the Caribbean a lot cheaper. Melody, let me know. Let me know if this is helpful, because I feel like I've said a lot, and this is why I said, like, don't get me wrong. Like, you can go on my page and look at these things, but all of this information is in the First Time Traveler Toolkit as well. And I do also have a budget travel masterclass at the link in my bio, and that has more than 40 different tricks for you to. I mean, I'm talking even keeping your entire trip under $1,000 for one person, not for four. I mean, 4 might be a stretch for that. but yeah, I like the budget travel masterclass is specifically all about how to ball out on a budget while like on an international trip. But for those of you who are new to this and you just kind of want to ease your way in, you can grab that First Time Traveler Toolkit. I'm so used to thinking in terms of packages, but I will follow your travel hacks. Yeah, child. Listen. When I first started traveling, I was mostly doing cruises and resorts, so I completely get it. But now I prefer to travel more like a local, and it's like most of the time it's less expensive depending on where I go, but it's always more rewarding. Although at this point, I would be so happy to take my ass on a cruise tomorrow. Does anyone know a points person who can find me a deal and do it for me for a free? Do it for a fee. I don't personally. I don't know if anybody else in here does. What about Panama? We'll definitely be following this advice. Thank you. I'm in Raleigh, Durham. Okay, yeah. So RDU is the same airport that I fly out of whenever I'm home. I don't like RDU. It's nice that it's so quick and easy to get through, but it pisses me off that Raleigh is the capital of North Carolina and like our flights are garbage. So I would also consider whenever I would also like look at different airports as well. Like you don't only have to fly out of RDU. Like you can fly out of like Charlotte, you can fly out of Greensboro. And I would only do this if it makes sense. Like last summer my husband drove me to Greensboro because it's like less than an hour drive, and it saved me $200 on a flight to Texas. So is it more of an inconvenience? Yeah, absolutely. So again, like it's gonna have to be up to you, but there are absolutely ways to travel on like a paper thin budget. But I'll be very honest with you. A lot of times it is going to mean you giving up some convenience. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. I appreciate y'all. Inexpensive flights. Oh, is that what you were saying for Panama? I don't know. You would have to look. Like there's not a rule of thumb for like, oh, flights to here are cheap. Sometimes if you are someone who is used to flying to a certain place, like from your airport, from a very specific airport, you might know like, okay, I normally fly here and I normally pay this much. But in general, y'all, it all comes down to supply and demand. So that's why you just got to go look. And that's why I love Google Flights, because you can look ahead of time. Would you suggest Merida, Mexico over Playa del Carmen for families? Yes, I would, because La Playa is more of a party city. And I've only been there for like a day trip, and I've talked to a ton of people who were there and they love La Playa. But there was actually a woman who was living in Colombia with her husband and her 2 daughters, and she used to live in La Playa, and she actually said that she liked Medellin more because it was more family oriented. So, and I spent like 2 months in Merida last year. Merida is a very, very family friendly place. It's the safest city in Mexico, the second safest city in Latin America. So yeah, I would 100% recommend Merida over Playa del Carmen. Thank y'all so much for the hearts. I appreciate y'all. Okay, let me see what else we got over here. Will my debit or credit card work overseas? Yeah, they'll work, but you go pay them fees, baby. I would, unless you have an international debit card, like we talked about earlier. I don't recommend using your debit card overseas. I recommend just using cash, or unless, like I said, of course, unless you have an international debit card, because not only just the Charles Schwab card, not only does it not not only does it refund your not only, oh my god, why can't I talk? Not only I'm getting frustrated with myself. Not only does it refund ATM fees, but also you don't get charged any international transaction fees. So if you have a travel credit card, I would just use that the whole time. If otherwise, get you an international debit card or get out cash, or be prepared to pay the fee. Like I said, you can budget fees into your travel budget, right? Like if you are like, okay, I know I'm going to keep my trip under $1,000, and let's say you're reverse engineering and you're going backwards, you can factor in like, okay, I'm going to expect to spend $50 on bank fees. At the end of the day, y'all, whenever you travel, you're expecting to pay for things you don't normally pay for. So it's really your prerogative, okay? Like if you don't think it's a big deal for you to end up paying, anywhere between $25 and $50 in bank fees, then yeah, whatever, use your debit card. But if you want to avoid that, then get an international travel card, international debit card, or a travel credit card. But yes, but in general, your card will work. But you want to notify your bank, because your bank might flag suspicious activity. What are foreign transaction fees? Those are extra charges. Most of the time, it's like 3%, that some banks will add every time you make a purchase. And I do mean every time. Like if you use your debit card to take an Uber somewhere, and then you use your debit card to take that Uber back, like your bank will charge you per international charge. So anytime your bank sees an international charge on your card, unless it's an international debit card, there's a good chance that they will charge you. How much cash should I bring? Okay, so this is going to depend on where you're going. It's going to depend on your budget. And this is if you actually mean literal cash. So we talked about this for a little bit earlier, right? Um like if you're going to get cash out for let's say you're taking like a 5-day trip, right? And you want to have the local currency. Let's say you're going to get like $100 in, I don't know, Thai baht before you go, right? Like you might have that, but when you get there, you'll probably get the rest, because like we said before, you don't necessarily want to be traveling with a large amount of cash. But I would say I would say in general, in terms of like the amount of cash to keep on you, I would say maybe like 2 days worth of spending. Do you feel safe traveling? I don't even got to read the rest of that sentence. Yes, I always feel safe traveling, because travel does not scare me. Because and I'm not, hold on. I feel like that sounded like I was trying to be a smartass. I am not. I literally just mean that at this stage, and knock on wood, okay? Knock on wood, but like at this stage, like there's nothing scary to me about travel. Like and this is one of the beautiful things about whenever you do start traveling. And I say this very humbly, okay? I say this as somebody who did not grow up traveling. I didn't grow up with a passport. I didn't grow up in a family that took international trips. But because I am so well traveled now, like y'all, honestly, it's just kind of, it's very second nature to me. But again, this is actually why I'm really glad I'm doing this live, and that I'm answering, and that y'all are asking me these questions, because it's taking me back, because I was not always this well traveled. So well, yeah, the answer is no. I am not afraid to travel. There was a moment where I was a little bit concerned coming back to the US from Colombia, because I was hearing rumors about them like checking your phone and checking your social media, and I was kind of like, it didn't happen to us. But like a fear of traveling itself, mm-mm. Do you research every place laws in depth before you go? Absolutely not. I do not. How much luggage can I bring? You can bring as much luggage as you want. But as far as how much luggage you could bring for free, it's going to depend on the airline. Every airline has its own policy. Whenever you book your flight, it will tell you if it includes a check bag, which is typically up to 50 pounds if you're in the US, but don't be fooled. It's not like that everywhere, okay? Because in Asia, we paid hella baggage fees, because over there, you normally get like, I want to say it's 20 or 22 kilograms, which is like 45, something like that. I don't know. That math might be wrong. But as far as how much luggage you can bring, always check the baggage rules for the airline, because you, like I said, you'll know whenever you book your flight, because it'll tell you if you have a bag included or not. If you want to pay for an extra bag, I do recommend going ahead and doing that, like whenever you check into your flight, instead of waiting, just because it's nice to have it done, and also because sometimes the fees are more expensive once you get there. They are definitely doing that, and people have the passports reported missing. Damn, that I haven't heard of. That's wild. Um, Carry on or check bag. I mean, it depends. I mean, that these questions. I mean, again, I'm glad I'm doing this now, because I'm gonna redo this live, and I'm gonna be more prepared, because of the live I'm doing now, because I'm recognizing that a lot of these questions I want to answer very biasly from my perspective, but I'm like, Bianca, you need to answer this question from the perspective of somebody who is brand new to traveling internationally. Less is more. You will have a much more enjoyable trip if you are not lugging a bunch of shit. Okay. And this is especially if you ain't got nobody to lug it for you. Okay. I ain't throwing no shade, but if you're traveling solo, or you're taking a girl's trip, whatever. Now, if you're traveling with your spouse and they're going to carry your shit for you, I mean, listen, okay? But that's not the case for everybody, which is fine. But regardless, less is more, okay? The way that and this is like, if I pack for a trip, I say 5 days or less, carry on. Unless you're going somewhere cold. If you're going somewhere cold, it gets tricky, because the clothes, like they literally weigh more and they're bigger, right? Or if you're traveling with like a lot of shoes. But I personally feel like 5 days or less, most of the time, you can do a carry-on. My rule of thumb is, I know what I'm going to wear while I'm there. Okay. Like, I will literally I'm like, okay, I'm going there 5 days. I have somewhat of an itinerary. I'm going to wear this whenever we go to the museum. I'm going to wear this to the beach. I'm going to wear this, whenever we go do this tour. Like, I pack based on what I'm doing. And then I will normally have 1 to 2 flex outfits. Right. And normally when I say an outfit, it's normally only a top or bottom. Right. So like, let's say I might pack a pair of shorts, but I might pack 2 different shirts, because I don't know what shirt I want to wear, or vice versa. I might have a shirt, and then I might do like a skirt and then like some shorts. So I would say, flex 1 or 2 things, no more than that. Okay. This whole thing of, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel when I get there. It don't matter, because you're in this new place and you want to get out and explore, and you don't need to be spending all your time worrying about what you're going to wear. As long as you are packing for the weather and you are packing for comfort. Okay. Those are going to be the 2 most important things. So again, I feel like 5 days or less, carry on is good. Any more than that, sure, check a bag. Make sure you have a luggage scale so that you know how much your luggage weighs, because going to the airport and having to do that shit in the airport is like, it's tedious, it's embarrassing. You don't want to do it. Okay. What would be a good first trip solo? You mean like where? That's always such a hard question for me, because I'm like, I don't think that traveling solo, like, even if you're traveling solo, that narrows the list from like 190 countries to like 90. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on what you're looking for. Do you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go to the city? Do you want to be in the mountains? Do you want to be somewhere where you're just abroad and you're kind of secluded? Do you want, like, it's like, solo ain't enough. I need to know more about the type of trip that you're looking for, or specifically, like, if you're bringing up the fact that you're solo, why is that relevant for you? Right? Because I'm traveling solo, that means I want what? Let's fill in those blanks, and then we can narrow it down. What can't I bring in my carry-on? Liquids that are more than 3 ounces. Y'all, these stores, they got these travel size sections. It's just, make your life easier and just go to the travel size section, or get the little containers where you can put your stuff into them if you don't want to have to buy a bunch of new stuff. So liquids, liquids over 3 ounces, no water. Make sure you pour, if you have a water bottle, make sure that you pour it out before TSA. Like, no sharp odds. I mean, this is kind of like, don't do no crazy shit. Okay. Don't be trying to listen, I don't think I should have to say this, but like, don't be trying to travel with like knives and like crazy things like that. Okay. Excuse me. You can typically find, this is actually a good thing to add. Let me write this down. What can't I pack in a carry-on? Beach and nature, safe for women, and hot weather, but not too hot. Beach and nature, safe for women. Thailand? I'm probably biased. I love Thailand. Yeah, but I would like that's like the first thing that came to my mind was oh, you said not too hot. Thailand's pretty hot. Girl, what is hot but not too hot? Like you can't do that. Either you want heat or you don't. Okay, you gotta we you either want hot, you want this is why I look at it. You want hot, you want cold, or you want spring. Like this is kind of how I look at weather. What's a must-have piece of clothing you have when you travel? Shorts. Like um like I like to wear dresses because sometimes it's just easier to pull one thing over my head and because I don't want to chafe, like I always make sure that I have like shorts that I can wear under a dress. That is my must-have piece of clothing. I don't really have another must-have piece of clothing because I mean, it's clothing. I mean, you have, like your underwear, which I mean is important to some people, important, not important to other people. But I think it's gonna depend on the person. But like I said, for me, my go-to is like I'm making sure that I have like shorts so that like I can move. And also I would say something with pockets because I'm outside a lot. Like I like to be outside. I like to be able to pop my phone into my pocket. So that would be for me. Thailand is where I've been wanting to go. And I know it's super hot. Yeah, it is hot there, but it's also a dope place to be. What should I absolutely not forget? Your passport. Like, listen, I'm gonna tell you, listen, anything that you cannot buy, that is what you absolutely should not forget. For me, my passport, my retainer, my birth control. These are the three things where I'm like, I am triple, quadruple checking before I leave the house. I cannot replace my passport. I cannot replace my retainer. My retainer, I'm talking about for my teeth. For those of you who are like, what are you talking about? I had braces whenever. And I gotta wear a retainer for the rest of my life, which is stupid, but let me not go there. Anyway, yeah, so for me, it is my passport, my retainer, and my birth control because I can't just go somewhere and buy those. If you have any other, like, if you have any like medication that you know you need to take, that's what you want to make sure that you're triple checking that you have enough of. Ladies, know your products. Be prepared. Be prepared for your hair. I don't wear makeup, so I personally cannot speak to makeup. I would say sunscreen at least. Hold on. I would say sunscreen at least, but like I said, I don't wear makeup personally, so I don't have a lot of insight there. But in terms of like your regular product, like let's say for example, you have sensitive skin and you know that you can only use a certain type of lotion, get that. If you have sensitive skin and you can only use certain laundry detergent, maybe you pack a little bit of that. And there's like travel detergent too, but you would probably want to try before you go if you have sensitive skin. Anything like whenever you're looking at your list. Oh, and by the way, y'all, my first time traveler toolkit, which is at the link in my bio, it actually does come with my ultimate travel packing list. It's literally a printable checklist to make sure you don't forget anything, and it has my favorite items in there for packing, like my must-have travel essentials. But I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry. If I didn't finish answering somebody's question, please just remind me. What country did you have the best holiday in? I don't have an answer for that because I've never really spent a holiday. The only holiday that I can really think of that I've spent abroad is I was in Colombia for Thanksgiving this year, but I was actually really sad that I wasn't home. I did go to like a Thanksgiving thing with some other expats. That was fun, but I'm not me personally at this stage in my life. I'm not really a holiday traveler, so I'm not really the person to ask for that. I want to travel, but the stuff in the US and what he's doing in other countries just worries me. I mean, I hear you. Listen, I tell you all the time, like, I will never be able to I will never be able to like make anybody like feel safe to go anywhere. Like these are all things that like you have to work through, right? Like I have people who are like, "Oh my god, I really want to go to Mexico, but I'm so afraid of the cartel." And I'm like, "Well, do you want to go more or are you more afraid to go?" Like, you know what I mean? It's like only you can answer that question. You know what I mean? Like you can do all this research, but if you in my opinion, you're not going to have a fun trip if like the whole time you're there you're paranoid, right? So do what you will with that information. And I think there are also some workarounds, right? Like if there are certain countries you want to go to, but you are worried that they're too dangerous, then maybe you go to them later. Maybe you start off going somewhere like Iceland or New Zealand, where crime it exists, but it's very minimal, right? Like you can start there and you can work your way up. Your first trip doesn't have to be Brazil. Your first trip does not have to be Egypt. It doesn't have to be Colombia. These are places that you are afraid to go to. Then don't go right now. Like, work your way up. Like I said, y'all, the first country I went to was Bulgaria. And I mean, I went there with my job in Bulgaria, like where I was in Sofia was very, very safe. Like, there was no part of me that ever even considered that I wasn't safe while I was there. But I've been to some other places where I'm like, okay, it's a little sketch out here. So I'm gonna watch my six. I'm not gonna be out here, like I'm not gonna be out here by myself. I'm not gonna be out here at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, like I said, but the safety thing, those are things that you have to work through. I want to travel the world, but trying to work through the guilt of leaving the US. I wanted to travel forever. Why do you have guilt of leaving the US? Like, you mean like family and friends? Is that what you mean? How early should I arrive at the airport for international flights? 3 hours. 2 is fine 90% of the time. But that 10% when it's not fine will make you want to do 3 hours from now on. I always did 2 hours. Then I started traveling with my husband, and he is a lot more responsible than me. And he's like, we need to go. And I'm like, whatever. But rule of thumb is 3 hours for an international flight, but also know your airport. Okay. Like I said, I fly to RDU a lot. RDU is such a chill airport to get through. If I were flying out of like Miami or Atlanta, 10 out of 10. But again, these are things that you're going to think about as, these are things you're going to think about more so as like as a seasoned traveler, not as a beginner traveler. Because it's hell here, so much horrible news. So then why would you feel guilty for leaving? Like, I'm specifically asking, like, what do you feel guilty about? I traveled to Seoul by myself and I enjoyed the peace. Everyone was friendly. I'm going back, period. I would love to visit Seoul. I'm actually watching Culinary Class Wars season 2 right now. And I'm like, y'all just make me want to go to South Korea and eat. Have you ever used any of the layover programs that are offered? If so, what was your experience? Hi, Apples. I have not used any of those. I almost did with Copa Airlines for Panama, but I personally have not used them. I know my cousin-in-law did this recently. She flew to Sierra Leone, and she did the Royal Morocco airline, and they had to stop over in Morocco. She did not have the best experience, but yeah, I personally, and I think there's one for Qatar Airlines too, that I've seen people on social media that they really like. So, but me personally, I have done long layovers just like on my own. Like whenever me and my husband flew from Brazil to Vietnam, like we were in Spain for like 8 hours. We flew to Mexico. We flew from Merida, Mexico to Monterrey. We were in Mexico City for like, I want to say 8 or 9 hours. So like I've done long layovers. We did a layover in Brazil too, in Sao Paulo. But I assume you're specifically talking about programs with the airlines. But let me know if you're not. Oh shit. Whoops. Thank y'all for the hearts. I feel like I should fight, but to be honest, I'm the only one who got me. I feel like I got to choose me. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, no, that's fair. I mean, also, I don't know. I'm not really one of those people who believes that like fighting has to mean staying here. But no, I hear you. I know you said like you're working through it, but I mean, what I would say, Nevaeh, is just like start small. Like you don't. I mean, I tell people this all the time. Like it's one thing to have, thoughts, feelings, doubt, reservations, reluctancy about doing certain things. And there are some things where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to take the full leap and I'm going to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there are other things where you can decide to baby step it. Like if you right now, it feels like so much of a dilemma to think about leaving the US permanently, then don't leave permanently right now. Go travel for a little bit. Like, I mean, if you feel guilty just about taking a trip, I don't know that I got no idea. But if you're specifically talking about like moving abroad for good, you don't have to move abroad for good right now. You can go live abroad for a month, live abroad for a couple of months, whatever it is, and see how you like it, see how you feel, and then you get to decide if it's worth it for you. Um, any advice on onward.com tickets? Advice like what? I mean, I don't know what advice I would give you. I mean, it's just, I've used it, but I don't know if you had any specific questions about it. I mean, so for y'all who don't know, Onward Ticket is where you can go buy a fake ticket. Like, for example, if they want you to have like a round trip flight and you only have one way. So whenever I used it, it was like $16 for one way and then like $32 for round trip. So I've used it before. Any credit cards you recommend for travel benefits? The Chase Sapphire Reserve used to be my favorite travel credit card. They have changed a lot of stuff. I have not used travel credit cards recently. I use them a lot. I mean, I've used the first one I ever had was the Delta Sky Miles card, and then I had a Bank of America one. I had the Wells Fargo Propel. I've had the what's it called? What's that one with that commercial with the girl from 13 going on 30? Venture One Capital One Venture card. I didn't use that one that much. But I hear that one is like really, really popular. I know there's the Amex one that's really popular. What I would recommend is I would recommend comparing them. Like that's honestly what I would recommend because at the end of the day, there are going to be certain benefits that are going to stand out more for you. And it also depends on how much you travel, right? Like if you are, if you're only taking like a trip a year, then like honestly, I don't really think it's that deep. But I feel like if you're traveling multiple times a year, like I would say look into Venture Card by Capital One, look into the Chase Sapphire because they do have a reserve and they have the preferred. The preferred is a lot less expensive, but it doesn't have as many benefits. And then the Amex one, those are the top three that I've heard about religiously over the last 3 years. So I would compare those. Thank God for the hearts. I've been looking at Turkish airline and the layover in Istanbul when I go to Thailand. Oh, I was supposed to go to Istanbul in 2020, but COVID was like, just kidding. And I don't really know much about Turkish Airlines. So honestly, Apples, I have no idea. But if you do end up going there, let me know how you like it. No problem, Nevaeh. Does it work? Onward Ticket worked for me. I used it in 2024. So I haven't used it in more than a year. But yeah, I have a whole video on my page. I think it's probably under the travel hacks playlist. But I have a whole video on my page where I walk you through how to do it. Onward Ticket does work, but when I try to use it in Charlotte and Raleigh, it doesn't work. What do you mean? What do you mean it didn't work? Like what didn't work? Do you mean you couldn't find the airport? Or do you mean like you were at the airport and they wouldn't take your ticket? Because I did learn recently that not every airport on there is available all the time. So if anything with Onward Ticket, I would definitely make sure that you look ahead of time to see if the airport that you're looking for is actually on there. But let me know if you meant somebody didn't take it. Like if somebody like, are you saying they like called you out for the ticket? Because that I've never heard. I haven't heard it happening to anybody, and I can imagine like how that would be horrifying. I don't think that those particular airports. Oh yeah. Not every airport is available for sure. Because my husband tried to do it for Medellin not too long ago, and Medellin wasn't on there, which blew my mind. But I used it for Panama, and it was fine. So for that, I would just say make sure that you look far enough in advance, so you don't, just think you're going to use it, and then you're on the way to the airport, think you're about to buy your fake ticket, and you can't. And sometimes you can also finesse. The thing is, y'all, the other thing to remember, especially if you're thinking about Onward Ticket, for example, is that it's not all about it's not about the city, it's about the country, right? So like if somebody says you have to be out of the country, you don't necessarily have to fly in or out of the same airport. So like for example, let's say I'm flying to Colombia and they're like, we need to see your return ticket. And let's say there is no flight from Medellin, but maybe there's a flight from Bogota. Like Bogota is also in Colombia. So if I have a ticket, even if it's not from Medellin, as long as it's out of the country. I'm in the States right now. What happens at immigration? You will walk up to a desk and They will ask you for your passport. They might ask you how long you're going to be there, why you're traveling, and they will stamp your passport. That's what's going to happen at immigration. Sometimes they'll ask you where you're staying. Back in the day, I think I had to like have my address written down, but I haven't had that happen to me in a long time. But can you just like use a bus ticket out of the country? I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no idea. I've never I don't know because I'm like, what country? I mean, you must be talking about somewhere in Europe because I'm like, where are you even going where you can take a bus to another country? But I don't know. That's a great question, damn it, man. If they will accept a bus ticket, I don't know. Will I go through customs? Yes. And if you have, a lot of times they'll ask you if you have anything to declare. I never have anything to declare. So if it's anything like food, really expensive purchases, like really large amounts of money, which just don't, okay? Because why are you traveling with large amounts of money? But yeah, 90% of the time you just say no. From Panama to Costa Rica. Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, that's true. Because I almost signed up for a tour with that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the airport, I don't know if they would accept a bus ticket out of the country. I have no idea. Where do you plan to travel to next? I don't know. TBD. I'm in the States right now. How bad is jet lag? That's a stupid question. I'm sorry. I said there were no stupid questions. I don't mean it's a stupid question to ask. I just like that question doesn't really have an answer because everybody is different. I mean, obviously the longer the flight, the big thing about jet lag, no, hold on, not necessarily how long the flight. The biggest thing about jet lag is how long are you traveling and are you going to be in the same time zone? If you're landing in a different time zone, it will take some adjusting. You'd be surprised, even 2 hours. When me and my sister were in El Salvador, we were 2 hours behind but we were 2 hours behind and we were both getting up at like 5 a.m. Like our entire trip, we both woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, just like looking crazy. Like, well, good morning. But like I said, it depends. If you're traveling somewhere like, Asia, Africa, like I said, those flights are going to be a lot longer. If you have like a shitty seat, right? Like if you have a seat, it doesn't have a lot of room. If you don't get a lot of rest, how if you're the type of person who can sleep on a plane, there's literally so many things that go into there's really so many things that go into jet lag. But if you can sleep on the plane, try to sleep on the plane. If you don't need to be that much on a budget, like I would try to get there as quickly as possible. So if there is an option to pay more where you don't have a layover, I would do that. If you got the budget for business class, 10 out of 10, do that. But I would just plan to have a chill first day whenever you get there. Does El Salvador have a black community? I have no idea. I would check Facebook and I would look up Facebook groups, but I have not heard of a black community in El Salvador. And I highly, 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 highly doubt it because whenever I was there, they were looking at me and my sister like they had never seen black people before. So I would assume the answer is no, but do your research and let me know. Can you remind me of like that website you used to get online income? Was that a subscription? I have no idea what you're referring to. The one I had said something. I have no idea what you're referring to. I'm sorry. Maybe if you could be a little bit more specific, but nothing is coming to mind right now. Will my phone work abroad? Yes. Well, probably, but roaming is expensive. So, wow. This is a lot of questions. Sorry, I'm really over here thinking like, am I going to create this product? Because this is just feeling like too much work. Judge me. Will my phone work abroad? Probably, but I would find out beforehand. I would ask your carrier if you get service in that country. If not, you can get a temporary SIM card, eSIM like Airlo or what's the one I used more recently? Orbit. Actually, I like Orbit more than I like Airlo. But yeah, I would probably just do that because it's not expensive, and then your phone is going to work. Unless you're okay with just thugging it out whenever you have Wi-Fi, which I've done, but again, that's more of a seasoned traveler thing, not a beginner traveler thing. It was like an Instagram you sent it to me, but I was wondering if something changed. I have no idea. I mean, if I send it to you, then you have it. Remote.co. That's not online income. That's a remote job website. And I haven't. Wait, what's your question? I wanted something because it's a subscription. No, it is a subscription. I think there are some things you can access for free, but no, there is a subscription. Yeah, 100%. Les, I'm a firm believer in paying for remote job websites, by the way. Like and I'm not, and this is no shade to you, Nevea. I'm just saying in general, like a lot of people will like they will ask me about certain sites, like like Flex Jobs or remote.co, and they're like, oh, but you have to pay. And I'm like, okay, well, how well is it going for you with the free ones? You know what I mean? Like when we actually start to look at the logistics of this, right? Everybody and their baby mama are on the free sites. You're going to have a lot less competition on the paid ones. And even the ones that are paid are like, you know what? I don't even remember how much they were. They were not expensive. I think maybe, I can't fucking remember. I really can't, to be honest with you. Maybe $20 a month, or I don't even think it was that much. Yeah, exactly. And like on the paid ones, you're not going to see as much spam. So if you have more patience, or I don't know, like if it's up to you. But yeah, like I am a firm believer in paying for remote jobs, because otherwise, like I said, there are a bunch of free resources out there, and it's not bad to use free resources. But again, keep in mind, there's going to be a lot more people use. You know what I mean? It's like people who do online dating and the people who pay, right? Like now. I met my husband for free online a long time ago, and this was back when online dating was not as mainstream as it is right now. But there are also people who actually pay for dating apps. And I'm not saying that they automatically find love, but I'm just saying that you're going to get a lot less scoundrels for an app where you have to pay. So, and honestly, that rule applies across the board. Okay. Like y'all, like I said, I'm not throwing nobody no shade, but if you are somebody who in general is always looking for free shit, just keep in mind, like, you're going to get free shit quality. World traveler, my favorite country is Mexico. Rooted in Travel says, I second paying. That makes me feel better, actually. And I know I'll go ahead. Yeah, of course. Do you recommend a good bank to bank with before leaving the U.S.? What do you mean? Before leaving the U.S.? Are you talking about traveling? I've been wanting to open up dating, but I hate the apps. If you hate the apps, don't do it. Like, listen, it is not for everybody. Okay, it is not. I feel like online dating, especially if you're talking about free apps, and this is for somebody who has not dated in a decade. Okay, in six months will be 10 years since I met my husband, so it's been a long time since I have dated. Wow, I am getting much older. I'm talking in decades now. That's 30s. That's when you enter your 30s, you realize you start talking in decades, and you're like, oh, this is a different life. Because you don't talk in decades in your 20s. Like you literally just don't. I don't think you don't battle tax. I don't think you don't need to change your bank to travel. Maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. Decades is wild. I mean, it's true. Like it literally hit me. I'm 33, and it hit me, I think, when I was like, 32, maybe 31, that I found myself saying things like 10 years ago. Like that just wasn't anything I said in my 20s. Like I never said that. Nah, I've been 25 for 2.5 decades. I ain't playing with you. Okay. What app should I download before leaving? Google Translate, WhatsApp, any rideshare apps. So like if you're in Southeast Asia, like Grab, a lot of places take Uber. There's also Didi. I use Didi a lot in Colombia. So any if you're going to be like using any taxi apps, any of those, the airline app is really convenient just so you can have updates on your flights. There are like some budget travel apps that I've seen. I don't use them personally, but there was one that I really like. I think it was called Travel Spend. If you want to make sure you can track your budget. And then supposedly there's an offline version of Maps. I've never tried it. If you have, let me know. So you move back and forth wherever and have a home base in the US. We don't really have a home. We don't have a home base anywhere. We just are where we are in the moment. Who do you recommend for international travel insurance? Somebody asked me this earlier. I don't use it because I was using Chase. I was using the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I was using the insurance that came with the travel credit card. So yeah, I don't know. I've heard of Faye. The person who asked me about this earlier, they use Faye. I've heard that one was really good, but I I haven't used any, so I am not the person to ask yet. But that is something I'm going to look up because that's a pretty basic question. Now I don't have good credit on Fry, so just use Faye. I think it's FAYE. International travel, is international travel safe? I'm not going there. What scam should I watch out for? It depends on the country. Like look up the country that you are going to, especially TikTok is a great app for that, right? So like I said, it depends on the country. Like taxi scams are really common. So like I was told that in Panama, and I do, and let me say for the record, I do not take taxis like anywhere. Like I don't, unless I order it in an app. So like I order when I'm in Colombia, I do order taxis through the Uber app, but I would never stop a taxi on the street and just get in it. Some people do, I don't. Okay, because I got trust issues. But like I said, it depends on where you are. Like I know, like in Thailand, there's a big scam where they'll have like women come up to your table and be like, "Oh, you want to take a shot?" And you'll be like, "Yeah, let's take a shot." And then all of a sudden they will, and then you get your bill, and you get the bill. They're trying to charge you for the shots. I got scammed in Colombia for $800 bottle of champagne. I have not done a video about that yet because I haven't even fully processed it. I haven't even been able to talk about this online yet because like I'm still processing it. But what I would say about scams is do your research, especially in like Facebook groups. This is a good question to ask there. Because every country, every city has its own, and I'm not saying every city has scams, but I mean they do. The US has scams. There are scams everywhere, but I'm saying like typically there are scams for specific places. So I would recommend looking that up online on a platform like TikTok. How much money was saved before traveling? Probably subjective. I don't battle tax. Do you mean for like a specific trip? I mean, it's definitely subjective. It depends on where you're going. It depends on what you're doing. If you're going to a place, let's say like if I'm traveling, but if I'm going to a resort and I know that most of the time I'm going to be doing everything on the resort, I'm probably not going to save that much money. Like maybe for like a week, I might have like I might expect to spend if food and alcohol and activities are included. I mean, let's even take out alcohol because I mean I'm not a big drinker. No shade if you are, but I'm not. But let's say like food and activities are included. I mean I would be shocked if I spent even $500 in a week. But if I have to pay for meals multiple times a day and I'm planning on being outside, I would probably say anywhere. And again, it depends on where you are too, because some places excursions, like I remember in Panama, I was like, what the fuck? Them excursions were expensive as hell. In Vietnam, excursions were like, oh my God. And one thing I loved about being in Vietnam and Hanoi is like, not only were the excursions so like affordable, with USD, also they almost always came with transportation. I was like, y'all go pick me up. Y'all go pick me up. Y'all go feed me. So it really depends on where you are. I feel like $100 a day is a good rule of thumb for an average country. When I say average, I mean maybe somewhere like Mexico. But again, it really depends on where you're going because also if you're going to be in like Playa del Carmen, for example, which from what I hear is kind of like, maybe not exactly like Miami, but like if you're going to be somewhere where you're going to be staying on a tourist strip, you're going to pay tourist prices. So it is a subjective answer. I'm sorry. Sometimes I know y'all ask me questions and y'all want me to have a direct answer, but the thing is, a lot of these questions, they don't have direct answers. A lot of times these answers do depend. But like I said, I feel like $100 a day is a good rule of thumb if you are for a trip where you're not doing an excursion every single day. If that makes sense. Like if you're doing, like if I were going somewhere for like 7 days, I would probably feel pretty good with like $700. But I would not feel good with $700 if I were going to like Vegas. You know what I mean? Like I would probably need more like $1,700. But it also depends on the type of traveler that you are. Like I love going to a local spot. Like, so it did. I feel like I made you more confused than before you asked the question. I'm so sorry. Glomatic Nomad says, what are the various ways you make money while traveling? Primarily digital products and affiliate marketing. I do also have books published on Amazon. So I use Amazon KDP. which is it stands for Kindle book publishing. But yeah, I have books published on Amazon. I have an audio book published on Amazon. I do market research studies. I do like cashback apps. Well, I already mentioned affiliate market. I have different affiliates that I earn money from, but primarily the top two ways I make money are by selling digital products and the Amazon influencer program. Those are my top two earners. For anybody who's interested in learning more about digital products, I do have a free class in the link in my bio to show you how you can turn like your life experiences and your story into a digital product. Yeah, exactly. Scams in every country, 100%, including here. Literally, okay, including here. People, y'all, and I'm talking like I hadn't even been applying for jobs in years, and people over here texting me talking about, "Hi, I have this remote job opportunity for this application you put in." I'm like, I haven't put in a job application in like a year and a half. What are you talking about? Like, what are you like? You know what I mean? So yeah, scams happen everywhere. But I would, like I said, I feel like TikTok is a great place, or even YouTube, anywhere really, any social media app. Like you can look that up, or to go into actual Facebook groups. Do I need to speak the language? No. Learning basic phrases is helpful though. Know how to say thank you. That's like the most important thing to me. Thank you. Hello. Where's the bathroom? Know your address. But if you, the more you know, the better travel experience you will have. But nobody is expecting you to know all the languages. Like that would be absurd. But for somebody who speaks Spanish, I'm gonna tell you right now, like one of the reasons I love being in Latin America is because of the special moments that I have with Spanish speaking people. And it's like there are some things that just cannot happen if you don't speak the language. It doesn't mean you can't have a great trip. It's just it's a different type of experience. Not saying unemployed. Will people judge me for being a tourist? I'm not even answering that. Do I need a power adapter sometimes, especially if you're in like Europe? We use them in Brazil, in Asia, but in other places in Latin America outside of Brazil, I think I didn't even need one. But I always travel with one. Do you have a Charles Schwab referral code? No, damn. Should I? Do they have a referral program? You might be putting me on. As of right now, I don't have one. You're gonna get judged everywhere. Get over it. Yeah, people judge. I mean, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. If people are judging you, like people judge you here. I promise you this, people will judge you a lot more here than they're going to it. If anything, abroad, people are probably going to be a little bit more curious. But judgment, have you ever heard of for a travel agent service? Yes, I have. There's a girl who, I mean, we're not friends, but we traveled together in 2019 and she does it. Are there health or vaccine requirements? Typically, no, but I would double check. So remember we talked about travel.state.gov earlier, so you can do that. Um, my sister is playing music so loud. She's playing some bangers and I just want to sing. There are some countries that do requirement, so you can yeah, Nevea, just send me a DM and I can send you her info. DM me on Instagram because she's on Instagram, so it will be easier for me to send her to you on Instagram than on TikTok. But you might want to, if I don't reply to you on Instagram, like message me on here because I don't really be on IG like that. Hello, Michelle. You are so welcome. Oh yeah, vaccines. I have never had to have a vaccine to get into a country. What is your sister playing? Just said to me, man. She been bumping Mariah Carey. She been bumping Monica, Latoya. She been just a bunch of like the old school R&Bs. Just got me wanting to do all the karaoke. You are so welcome. Can I bring my medications? Yes. Check to see if there are any. If we can sing together. I'm a terrible singer. Um, check restrictions just to make sure. But I mean, I think I've only medications I've traveled with my birth control, um, Dramamine, Tylenol, not Tylenol, ibuprofen, vitamins. I mean, I've never had any issues with medications. I feel like if you have a medication that might be not allowed. Like I feel like you know that. You know what I mean? So do your research. I don't know. That's really good to know about the vaccines. Yeah, where are you traveling to next? We shall see, Michelle. TBD. I'll let y'all know when I get there, though. You did a little melody earlier. I did. You're sweet. No, I am a terrible, terrible singer, and it's really unfortunate because I love to sing. But yeah, I'm not good at it. I wish I could sing, not because I want to be famous for singing, but because I just wish that I could sing more often without people wanting to rip their ears off. People mostly being my husband. My husband was in the house the other day when me and my sister were watching Dreamgirls, and he was just like, and I was like, bro, you lucky you in here because I would have rewinded back. I'm like, there are things I would have rewinded if you weren't even in here. Please no, okay? I missed the vaccine info. Oh, I was just saying that you just got to check. You got to check the requirements. You can do that on TSA.gov. All right, y'all. Those were 26 of the most frequently asked beginner traveler questions. Holy moly, I got some work to do. I think I'm gonna just have to make this a class because I can't write all this shit out. I cannot. But I will do I'm gonna do another one of these and I'll have better answers. It will be a lot more not formal because let's be honest, I am who I am. But I will do another one. But like I said, y'all, I do have the first time traveler toolkit. It is at the link in my bio. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description. But in the first time traveler toolkit, you have my top airport tips, like literally a checklist for what to do before the airport, at the airport, and after the airport, the top safest countries to travel to, plus all the local emergency numbers because 911 is for the US, but not for everywhere. Excuse me, the ultimate travel packing list. And I have these like travel theme like wallpapers that you can put in like your laptop or your cell phone for those of you who want kind of like a travel vision board, as well as the 6 steps that you need to take to book your first trip outside of the US. All of this is in the first time traveler toolkit, which like I said, if you're on TikTok, it's in my bio. If you were on YouTube, it's in the description. Would you ever consider being a travel advisor? Absolutely not. No, that's just not for and no, it's just not for me. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I support all the travel advisors, all the travel agents, but that's just not that's not for me. I don't I mean that is not true. Because I was gonna say like I don't like talking to people. That's not true. I love talking to people, but I don't have the patience for something like that. Like that, no. Also, I do it too much for myself. And I know there are some people who are like, you already, and trust me, travel agents have tried. They're like, you already booking travel. You should get paid for it. And I'm like, no. First of all, most travel agents that I see primarily book hotels, resorts, and cruises. And 90% of my travel it's none of those things. But the girl who I'm talking about who does Fora, she traveled with me and she's like me, like she likes to do local travel. So I actually did reach out to her not too long ago, and we have talked about maybe doing some kind of partnership. And for her, I would let her plan a trip for me because I know that she would know what she was doing because I know that she also likes to travel like a local. But in my experience, like I said, a lot of travel agents, I just personally don't need them. And like I said, for me, I don't um for me, I just don't yeah, I just don't want one. And I don't want to do it at all because I don't even like doing it for myself. So I don't like planning travel for myself. Like I would when I get to a point where I'm making enough money, that girl, her name is Lauren, I will be happy to let Lauren plan all of my trips. Okay. I'm planning my travel right now, but baby, trust me, I am happy to pay somebody else to do it. But like I said, it would need to be somebody who I know knows how to travel like a local, not somebody who's just gonna put me in all the tourist traps. Hello, Ray. I've been in the US 4 or 5 months. I have a green card already. It's safe to travel. Was that a question? Or were you just saying it's safe to travel? I don't know. All right, y'all. I'm about to get up off of here, but thank y'all so much for joining. For those of you who got the first time traveler toolkit, thank you for your business. You can grab it out of my bio. If you're gonna get it on TikTok, make sure you grab it ASAP because I'm about to take it. I don't leave that product. I don't like to have. I cannot put every product that I have in my link in bio because it would just be too much going on in there. So I do not leave the first time traveler toolkit in there. So if you do want it, make sure you grab it ASAP because I'm about to take it out. But otherwise, thank y'all for joining. Please make sure y'all hit follow and make sure y'all hit subscribe. And damn, this was an hour and a half. I said I was going to do this again, and now I'm like, maybe I should just use this one. It wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't a bad life. Maybe I'll just use this one. That was a lot of questions. Anyway, not from y'all. I'm talking about the list that I went over. Okay. Anyways, I'll catch y'all later. Ciao.